I'm the CEO of RJ Reliance. In this series, I'm talking with business owners, operators, HCM leaders, employees, partners, and industry experts about how work is changing. We'll look at people, systems, payroll, HR, time, integrations, operations, and yes, AI, but always from a practical business perspective. The goal is simple: understand what companies should be thinking about as they modernize how work gets done. So today we'll talk about what integrations do, why that matters, and what business leaders should understand. So today I have with me John Louise, or JL Pilien. He's a developer and really looking to gain some insights from JL about what he does and how we can kind of inform this audience who will consist of people who are very much interested in these topics. So JL, can you introduce yourself and tell us what kind of work you do?
Yep. So, hi everyone. I'm John Luis Pilien. You can call me JL. So, I've been an RPA and integration developer since 2017. Yes, correct. So, currently, I'm doing an integration and also some RPA development. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, no worries. So just for the audience, for people who don't know what RPA is, robotics process automation, can you tell us a little bit about what that is, what you do with that?
Yeah, so RPA, robotics processing automation, is us as a developer doing some of the repetitive tasks from the client. So let's say, for example, such as time approval, information data input or data encoding, something like that. So we are doing those tasks automatically using RPA so that at the very least, the company can save lots of SPT or, headcounts so that the other employee can work on much complex job.
Awesome. Yeah. And a lot of what we'll talk about today is automation, moving away from manual processes that might stymie or slow down scalability and things along those lines. So, in simple terms, on a day-to-day, what you do as an integration developer, can you talk a little bit about that part of it? Meaning like a lot of what you're doing is pulling information from one system, doing some level of transformation and then loading that information to another system. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so essentially for the integration, so for me, integration is like a bridge. So we are bridging the one system from another that we can send over the data from one system to another. And by doing that, we need to determine some of the decision making from the client. So let's say, for example, if they want to send over this specific data saying this is a terminated employee, so what should we send over to the second system, then we definitely need to discuss. We need to extract all of those information so that we can create an integration with utmost accuracy.
All right. So, JL, tell me a little bit about some of the systems you connect with, because I know you connect with tools like ADP and UKG and Workday and other HCM platforms. But outside of that, what other products do you integrate with?
The most recent would be the RTI and also with the NCR. So for the RTI file, we are sending data from ADP to RTI. And then also we're also doing the integration to NCR. So from NCR, Aloha is that we are sending information, such basic information from the employee. So we are creating profile from them. And also we are sending over the punches so that because essentially um, they are using ADP as a time punches or payroll, and we are sending over their payroll to NCR for processing. And then for the RTI, we are also sending them the data from ADP so that at the very least, good for their data is ADP, but the data coming from ADP is sent over across two other systems, which is the NCR and then the RTI.
Got it. And both of those solutions, so the RTI solution is like a back of house solution for a large like QSR, quick serve restaurant, restaurant franchises, et cetera. And I know NCR Aloha is like a point of sale solution. So really interesting work that you're doing, obviously, to help automate that kind of flow of information, the employee data to the various systems the client's using to manage their people. So, kind of moving into common problems that you see. I know you've been on quite a few different projects, ones that have been successful, obviously, and ones that have started out a little bit rough. What makes an integration project hard or difficult?
For me, is the quality of the data, because in order for us to successfully automate or integrate things, we need at the very least a good quality data. Because, for example, if we are extracting data, but the data coming from, let's say, free form, then that might be an issue with us. So at the very least, we need to transform this in order for us to pass it as in good order. And the other thing, especially for the legacy system, is that with regards to the support, because essentially legacy system most likely doesn't have the robust client support. So we definitely need to, at the very least, reach out to some of their, let's say, technical leader for us to get all of the information we need in order for us to successfully automate or integrate those systems.
Yeah, no, excellent. Makes sense. So, really, in kind of adding on to this and maybe looking at it slightly different in terms of more of a positive spin, I guess. But so, if you, as you go into these projects, like what information do you need from the business before you even start building your integrations? Thoughts there?
First is to review their current state, because in the current state, I need to provide them a solution out of it. So first, I am reviewing what is their current state or what they're doing today, and then send a proof to the client saying that this is where the automation or the integration can do, and this is how we do it. So in order for us, so once we're done with providing a solution, we will be reviewing the data that we will be using for the automation and then the integration. Next would be to create a log or a mapping documents, so that at the very least we are 100% sure that this is the correct thing to do once we receive a certain information from their system. And then lastly, I will be creating a N, because in order for us to fully or understand the client, is that we need to, at the very least, by providing them the most detailed, but you know that that complex shape that we can we can use, so that at the very least, when engaging to the client, they're 100% on board with the request that we requested, and then what is the action the actions made as well.
Yeah. So obviously lots of activity for especially these larger, more complex projects that you do. Tell me a little bit about testing. Why is testing important before an integration goes live?
Yeah, so for me, especially, I do have a lot of testing. So first, when I think I'm done with the development, I will conduct an end-to-end testing. So after the end-to-end testing, I will conduct a internal testing with the project team in order for us to create test cases for the client with upcoming UAT. So once we're done with the internal testing, we will be reaching out to the client. So now we will proceed with the actual UAT testing. So that's number three. Number four would be for me to conduct a smoke test, especially in RPA, because in RPA, we need to determine whether the environment that we will be hosting the RPA has a capacity to extract or has a proper credential, something like that. So we need to conduct a smoke test with that one. So once we're done with the smoke testing, I think we're done with the UAT. But in scenario we're in, let's say, for example, if the client requested changes from their RPA or the integration, we also need to conduct another set of testing, which is the regression testing, in order to validate that other than the changes that we made, all of the function that we conducted, or other existing functions is not is working as expected.
Yeah. Yeah. Incredibly important given that these systems are literally interconnecting the move ad changes, the employees that are coming on, if they need to be activated in a downstream system or if they need to be terminated in a downstream system, that all of that is very well tested and works to the level that the client is expecting, of course.
Yep.
So moving into the automation and AI. So I know this for the audience that's listening to the call today, incredibly important, lots of activity that's happening on the AI front. Seems to be news daily that's happening. The engines themselves are dramatically different than they were even a month ago. So in your opinion, where can automation help with HCM or payroll integration projects? Any thoughts there?
For HCM, so yeah, I believe especially with regards to the new hire onboarding, at the very least, RPA can do the, let's say, for example, if there's another system that will extract all of the information from the new hire employees, such as name, addresses, and all. So if we can store those information, then I think RPA can do the manual, the encoding from their onboarding system to their actual system and then send over. And also by sending over, let's say, for example, in payroll, we can use the RPA to determine which employee should receive the approval or not. So there's a lot of things that we can do with regards to the RPA, especially in the HCM and then the payroll team.
Okay. All right. Well, then moving to my last question for you today. So, thinking about everything we covered on the call, but what advice would you give to a company before they start an integration project? Like if you had to think about everything that we talked about and reduce it down to kind of one main point, what would you tell a company before they start an integration project?
Yeah, for me, let's say, for example, if I stand as a client, my proposal would be for my team to create a designated person for each role. So let's say, for example, we do have 5 person in the project team. I will designate employee number one is a key pointer for our team. Second employee will be designated as a data input or sending data from the developers. So at the very least, we do have a responsibility, each of us, so it don't overlap one role or to another. Second is to finalize data because data is the most crucial part with regardless whether if it's an RPA or the integration because good data will definitely help the project team in order for them to to visualize what should be done and what should be accomplished. Is to at the very least have the you know summarize all of the functions that needed for the RPA for also in the RPA and also for the integration because technically as soon as we fully plan out what is needed or what the company is needed, then at the very least we can redirect all of the focus on that one. And then regarding at the very least, we already cleared out majority of them.
Got it. All right. Well, JL, thanks so much for your insights today. I know we covered a lot in the short amount of time that we've had to chat. Really looking forward to having more of these conversations over the coming weeks and diving further into AI and how AI might be better or continuing to be used by you and your business and the way that you do the work that you do. So thanks so much for your time. Absolutely appreciate it.